Thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming with another video review. And today we're going back in time to something I never actually reviewed. That being the Transformers masterpiece Grimlock. Specifically here, we're taking a look at the Toys R Us exclusive, which was very hard for a lot of people to find in stores. Now, when the regular Takara version came out, I actually bought that, but I in turn ended up selling it because I liked the paint job with the extra painted details on the actual Toys R Us one, but I was never able to find it. But a guy over on TFW 2005, OL Prime, was able to come to a deal with me where I actually traded my 2013 BotCon set for this guy, because this guy can go upwards between $250 and $300. So I was very happy with that trade. Problem though was the USPS. As you can see, this box is all jacked up, and honestly it was pushed in like this. I'm just going to redo it. That's exactly how I got the package. Now, it was perfectly packaged, except it literally looked like the post office decided to play soccer with the box. And as you can see, it busted this top section open, which really upset me. If I was a mint in box collector and I wanted to keep this just as a display piece, I'd be extraordinarily upset. But luckily, I am going to open it. As you can see, you got the nice Transformers logo there. I mean, this goes way back to the Revenge of the Fallen Leader class Optimus Prime, so that's how old this basically is. And then on the side here, it says, "Weakness offends Grimlock. He considers none so weak as those who refuse to use their full strength to command victories. As a result, he's never had much respect for Optimus Prime. He barely even considers himself and his Dinobots to be a part of the Autobot army most of the time. He only grudgingly helps the heroic Autobots because the tyranny of Megatron offends him even more than weakness. He longs for the day when Optimus Prime makes a final mistake, leaving a vacancy that Grimlock will be more than happy to fill." I mean, this guy is awesome. Grimlock is a wonderful character, beloved throughout time. Now, you got the Dinobot mode. You got, you can change his eye colors from blue to red, so you can have a cartoon look or the G1 toy look, which is something that you could do also on the Takara one. He comes with his glowing sword and a blaster. Now, that's true to the Takara version as well, but what separates this from that, in addition to some extra paint details, is he comes with the Dinobot Crown of Leadership, which is really awesome. And then you see the different features here. As I said, the Crown of Leadership actually doesn't come with the Takara one, so that's about it for the packaging. As messed up as it is, you got a nice Autobot logo there, but there's that. So let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Okay, so here we have Grimlock opened up and out of its packaging, and as you can see, he does come with some accessories that are a little bit different than what we got previously with the MPO-8, which is the Takara release for this particular figure. And the figure itself has some minor changes that we'll get into, but none of these weapons you can really use in the Dinosaur Mode, so basically, I mean, this is all you have. You have his gun, and I'll show all this stuff off more in his robot mode. That's where it's more actually useful, I suppose. So it's his gun, he does have his sword, and then one thing that's actually different is that the Hasbro version of this comes with the Autobot Crown of Leadership. Now, it was named that actually on the Toys R Us packaging, so that's basically what the name has been, I guess, given. Now, the original MPO-8 did not come with this. The MPO-8X, which I think it was X, which was a slight repaint of this mold, did come with this, and it also came with these weapons as well. So that's where the crown basically comes from. That particular figure was the King Grimlock version, and the paint job, like I said, was a little bit different. It was more designed to look how it looked in the actual cartoon, or I'm sorry, the comic books, which is where the actual crown came from in the first place. But I love the fact that this actually comes with it. It's really nice. It was one thing that I thought the original MPO-8 should have came with, but then I don't remember what third-party company, one came around and gave you one of these basically anyhow. So if you don't want to pay that extra premium price to get the MPO-8X, you could have always gotten the crown through a third-party source. So, like I said, those are more incorporated in his actual robot mode. We'll get to that here in a second. But here you have Grimlock, and it's an absolute wonderful figure. Now, size-wise, he works pretty well in terms of his Dinosaur Mode. The robot mode, he gets a little bit smaller and doesn't really fit with the Masterpiece figures. Grimlock really should be a much taller figure in terms of robot form. Now, the original MPO-1 compared to the MPO-8 was it's a huge difference in it was ridiculous. At least now with the MP10 and the smaller scale, this works a lot better, but it's still not really all that accurate. I mean, the Dinobots towered over the regular Autobots. I am really happy with this nonetheless. Now, in terms of some of the differences between this and the Takara one, one thing you're noticing is these little paint details here. These little bits right here were not on the original MPO8. The actual feet here, or toes specifically, were a much more chrome color on the MPO. This is a nice gold color, and it's painted very nicely, and these are die cast. But the MPO8 was more along the lines of what you have here with the Crown, with a nice kind of chrome look. I really actually prefer this. It's a much more dull down one, and I'm not too worried about it flaking off. Now, he does have a lot of chrome throughout the rest of his body, which is a very nice touch. I remember when this came out, I think it was 2008, I want to say. I could be wrong. But when this first came out, I know a lot of people were really concerned and very much surprised that the actual Hasbro one went ahead and included the chrome on here. I personally think it looks terrific. Now, the other thing is, these claws have been changed. They're still fairly pointy, but the actual Takara one was very pointy. Zoom in so that you can see that a little bit better. As you can see, they're a little bit more rounded, so they're not as sharp. The Takara one, they were really sharp. I mean, not to the point where you're going to draw blood, but safety reasons and things of that nature obviously had to get changed for the release here in the United States. Likewise with the actual teeth on this guy. Now, you can open his mouth and you can see it's nicely articulated here. The teeth are a lot more rounded. They still have a nice sharpness to them, but compared to the Takara, this is nothing. The other thing that's different is that the spring in here, there's a little bit of gimmick. You can push this and it snaps the mouth shut, just like so. The spring is much weaker on this guy than what we got with the Takara one. I mean, I remember when I had the Takara one, you'd open this up and it would snap. You put your finger in there and it wouldn't hurt or anything, but you could feel the sharpness of that. So Hasbro kind of rounded out the teeth, and they made the spring in here a little bit weaker so that you don't get quite as much of a snap when you actually push that button. Those really are some of the more, I guess, major changes. One thing that I always didn't like was you have to stand them like this, which that's fine, but the real T-Rex has now been revealed to be more along this line in terms of the way that he was always kind of walking around. This gives him a much more accurate look, obviously, and this is how the cartoon looked. But one thing that I never really liked was the weight really on the back of the figure really rests a lot on these joints, and you can see that sometimes you can get it positioned just right, sometimes you can't. So that's one thing that always kind of bugged me with it. So you almost have to always leave them resting, but if you position it just right, you can get a decent balance with it. It always kind of bugged me, honestly. And like, there you have it. And it stands there, but it puts stress on the joints, and it always made me worry that over time, that might loosen. But this is a really nice look. But you can always keep them down like that. But it always made me worry because of the chrome here always resting on something. So that was the one aspect that I never really liked. There's not really much you can do about it because of the design on them. It's just the way it's going to be, I suppose, for the most part. Now, for his articulation, as you can see, his head goes left and right. He does have one more gimmick where you take this and you whip his tail back and forth, and you can see that his head rotates from side to side, which is really cool. The shoulders here are on ball joints, nice range of motion. They bend at the elbow. The fingers are all individually articulated, so you can get them reaching out, doing whatever you want. Like I showed you here, the mouth does open and close. Here at the, I guess, waist area, it moves forward and back. Bends here at the elbow, you got the feet, which they also pivot. So you can get some poses with this guy, that's for sure. I mean, most of the time, the Dinobots were always in their dinosaur mode, so it was absolutely essential that they put all this detail, and in my opinion, the articulation in this mode as well. It was absolutely needed. Now, one other gimmick here, as you can see, I have him with the blue eyes, which is accurate to how he looked in the cartoon. Now, if you wanted the toy version, you can lift this up. This bit right in here, you have to, it's on a spring. Just pull it back and then rotate it, and now you can have the actual G1 toy look with the red eyes. I absolutely love that. I think it's a wonderful touch. It allows you to really display him in whatever particular look you grew up with and you actually like. For me, it's always about the cartoon. I love that look more than anything. So for me, I always leave it with the blue eyes. Now, much like the dinosaur head, his robot head also has that same feature, which again, I'll show you here in just a minute. But beyond that, that's about it for his T-Rex mode. You got a nice Autobot logo there. I mean, really, there's not much difference in terms of the paint between this one and the actual Takara one. I mean, I absolutely love this. This is such a great figure, and it nicely represents Grimlock, in my opinion. For some comparisons here in his dinosaur mode, here you have him next to Sideswipe, and again, you can see that the new scale works a lot better with existing Masterpiece figures that they really weren't going to go back and redo, such as Grimlock. But that works fairly nicely, and then setting him off to the back, here you have Optimus Prime, and again, the size for this really isn't all that bad. It only starts getting a little bit out of proportion when we get Grimlock here into his robot mode. So to transform him, what you want to do, come around here, just get these legs lifted up and out of the way, coming around to the back tail, and separate this, but with the shortness of my fingernails, it's always a difficult process to actually do. So, pull out my twisty tweezers, and then just wedge it in there so I don't scrape the paint or anything like that. Yeah, man, get in there. There we go. And then just spread these apart. Come on, there we are, just like that. And then bring this whole section out, and then angle this out like so. Do that on this side. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to try showing it as best as possible. But you want to bring this out, and then when you do that, bring this whole section down like so. And then we're going to rotate this up and in here. And then you actually have to bend this back and then angle it like so. And then take the little tip section here and tuck that in, bring that down and around, and then you rotate this section around, and then you have one of his legs. It's really not that complicated, but for some reason sometimes I have problems with it. So we're gonna rotate that up and in, rotate this whole section. This is going to angle down, and then rotate this up like so, rotating this bit around, filling in the rest of his foot, bend this down, and rotate his leg, keeping that rotated like so. Then you come around here to this, take this section here, you're gonna, well, separate these halves like so, and then you can take the head, just flop that back, bring this can actually angle up like so to make it a little bit easier to get it to clear all the way around. Then bringing this up, just get this out of the way for right now, take these legs and I'm gonna straighten these out just like so on both sides like that. Then you actually take this, bring this up, and then bring it down. And the cool little bit is as you bring it down, if you get it lined up right, which I'm trying to do, get these back, then you can bring these down like so. If you get this lined up the way that it's supposed to be, as you can see here in the centerpiece, which is kind of hard to see, zooming in you should be able to see it a little bit better. Once you start lining it properly, you can see that the Autobot logo comes down. Then just give that a nice little push, lock that in place, kind of straighten everything out, come around here to the back, and then you see a little tab right here that pegs into the top of Grimlock's head. That just keeps that there. You can rotate these around, whatever you really want to do for these little arm bits. Position them any way that you want, and then come around here, open this, rotate his hand out like so. Do that on this side as well. This one's a little bit harder usually for me to, right, there we go. Got it like so. Rotate that back down, bring this around, straighten everything out, straighten his head out, straighten all this, and then here you have Grimlock in his robot mode. And this guy really just looks absolutely perfect and wonderfully recreates that character in his original G1 form. Everything about this guy is just magnificent. I love the fact that they went with the chrome on the chest, very much like the toy. As I mentioned, he does have a couple added sticker or paint applications. That's a really tight joint there. Get that bent back there. Most notably here in his arms, and just trying to get everything all situated. I don't know why you're being so much of a pain in the butt. These bits here were added on. These were stickers on the original G1 toy that they put on here as well. Another Takara one didn't have it. Now, I actually believe that these bits right here are painted gold. I think in the original one they were painted just a dark gray. And when I say the original, I mean the Takara one. So come on, get you standing up straight. There we go. So, I mean, this is just an absolute gorgeous toy. And as you can see in the actual robot mode, you can have him holding his gun and his sword. And you can also take his crown and bring it on here and stick it on there. And now you have King Grimlock, which if that's an option that you really like, you have that. I mean, I don't particularly care too much for it. I just think it's a wonderful little touch. Now the Takara one, he came with the brain transfer device, which allowed him actually to create the Technobots, because it made him really smart. And he came with a tray of drinks and an apron. I mean, it was just really kind of weird. I like the homages, but I really think that something like this works a whole lot better. I mean, me, Grimlock, King, and all that kind of stuff. So for the features, one thing that's really cool is this hand only has an actual light built into the palm itself, which then illuminates the rest of this. And I'm going to try showing that. You got the button, get this out of the way. The button is right here on the back of his gigantic shoulder. So when you push it, it's really hard to see, but you can kind of sort of see it, I guess. Or you can just turn off the light, and then as you can see, that lights up nicely. And I really do dig that. Now, you also can remove this, set that off to the side, bring this gun out of that hand. This hand doesn't have it. It's all in his right hand. Put that gun in there, and again, you can push the button, and the tips will light up. Not so much the rest of the barrel, but you get the tips lighting up. And that's absolutely wonderful. I love it. Very cool gimmick on that just by itself. And like I said, it is only on his right hand, and you can see that it's a clear handle right there, just like this is also a clear handle, which allows the light to pass through. But when you do that, you can see the light on the inside there. So very cool nonetheless. And now he does have a little thumb that you can bring up, but I usually actually leave it down because a lot of times it's on a ball joint and it'll pop off. So for his articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so nice range of motion with that. I absolutely love his face. That's so very Grimlock. The shoulders here on very big ball joints, so you can really get him putting his arms in, rotating them out about that far. They rotate all the way around. I mean, like I said, they're on ball joints, so nice range of motion. At the upper part, just above the elbow, they rotate. He's got two joints here at the elbow itself, so nice range of motion with that. They also, yeah, I already said that they rotate. This little bit right here, these can flex. Some people will put them down like that. I don't know why you would want to, but you could. The wrist rotate all the way around. The hand opens up. It's just articulated at this group of knuckles, that's all. And then he does have his thumb here as well. And there you see his hand now. This one right here, it doesn't open up, but you do have the thumb on there. But the hand is still there and everything, so that's real cool. The waist rotates. Get that out of the way. He does have a little bit of junk in the trunk, so that's a little bit of a pain in the butt to kind of make him rotate there, but you got that piece right there just that sticks out, moves in and out, forward and back. He also rotates. He bends at two joints here at the knee. Well, is it two? No, it's just one joint. I'm sorry. One joint here at the knee, but it's really stiff. And then the feet have some pivot. You got forward and back. It's all part of this whole thing right here, but you can actually get some poses with it. It just really depends on what kind of crazy poses you want to come up with. But this guy just looks absolutely massive and powerful, and I really do dig it. I love how when you come around here to the back, it's actually pretty clean. I mean, he had these giant wings, and his head just tucks down there, which is, again, a fairly accurate representation of how his head in Dinosaur Mode just kind of hid here in his robot mode. Now again, like I mentioned before with the dinosaur head, he's got two different color visors. As you can see, he's got the blue right here. Zoom in so that you can see that. Again, that's just my personal preference. It's a very nice chrome blue piece, but if you turn the head around, you can see a little lever that's chrome red. If you flip that up, it makes his eyes red, and it's a very quick gimmick. I mean, you can see red, blue. It's your personal preference, and actually if you have it with the red, because that little red bit, and it's hard to see, that little red bit is higher, this actually pegs onto his head a little bit better because that little notch kind of rests on the inside here, so that crown stays on there a little bit better. So if you, I mean, look at that, that's just very cool looking. If you wanted to recreate the crown look that we got in the actual cartoon, you're going to want to use the red eyes because that's what he had in the comic book. I think I said cartoon, but I meant comic. But overall, just an absolute wonderful looking figure. Now, for a size comparison, here you have King Grimlock. And here you have MP10 Optimus Prime. Now, granted, I don't have his legs completely straight, so you can see that MP10 is taller than Grimlock, and this is where things are a little bit more in terms of the size scale. It's much better because if you remember with the original MP01, Optimus towered over this guy. So it's a better scale this time around. But Grimlock really should be almost another half a figure taller than Optimus Prime. So while this scale isn't atrocious, it's still not entirely accurate. And bringing in Sideswipe again, you can see this looks a little bit better because, like I said, the Dinobots, specifically Grimlock, towered over the rest of these guys. So this looks pretty good if you ask me. And honestly, when I display this guy, I usually have him in his Dinosaur Mode. So Robot Mode, I'm like, meh about. For me, it's all about his Dinosaur Mode. Now, to get there, we're just going to come to the hands here first. Make sure that if you don't have the thumb tucked down, you want to get it tucked down where it's going down along the side of his actual palm, just so that when you're closing things up, nothing gets stuck in there and pops off potentially. So do that on both sides, thumbs down, tuck that in just like so. Then we're going to take these legs, straighten them out, and then just angle them in. Now, well, you can pop that all out too. You're going to angle these in right up here. It's kind of tricky to do. Come on, it just bends downward, so I don't know why it's that tricky, but if it's not straight, it won't. There we go. If the hips here aren't straight all the way, then it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. There you are. So you're going to get it like that, and then you can detach this, lift this up, and this is going to rotate down, getting these arms out of the way. These are giant floppy messes at this point in time. So just going to lower this, kind of keep this straight, bring this down and in, bring this down and in, and then you just bring these two halves together and actually fold the head forward. I should have did that first. So separate this back apart. There. Come on, there we go. And then bring the head down, and you see the little tab right there that goes underneath this chest. Just like so. Straighten out the legs, and this is it. This is how we're going to leave them. We're going to leave them like... No, we're not going to, guys. Come on. First, then, what you want to do is bend his knees at one spot right there on both sides. Then take this, rotate this out, kind of lift this section. This is always a little bit of a cluster. You're going to rotate that around. And then, well, first, all right, here. Okay, I'm having a hard time here, guys. Rotate this out, lift this, and then fold this down and around just like so. And then you're going to rotate the leg and then fold it in on itself, bringing it in. And then bend the joint here at the knee one more time, I think. You're gonna get it something like that. Yeah, we'll go like that. So do that on this side as well. Gonna fold this out. We're going to take this section, we're going to untab this, rotate that all the way around. Like I said, we're bending it once at the knee, then rotate it around, and then spin it around just like that, bringing it together. Then you just fold all this, and actually, yeah, you want to bend it twice at the knee, I'm sorry. So you're bringing this all together, and actually there's one other piece that's kind of a pain. I'm going to bring out some tweezers to get at this. It's hard to reach in there and grab that, so you want to fold that out. Do that on this side also, just like so, and then literally you just bring these halves together, making sure everything is pulled out of them, and get all of it lined up properly, so that you can bring it together here at the bottom section, at the top section, squeeze it all together, and here you have Grimlock back in his Tyrannosaurus Rex Dinosaur Mode. Now, bottom line is that Grimlock, in my opinion, is one of the best masterpiece figures that we've gotten, both in the past and with the new current scale that we're getting. I absolutely love this guy. Grimlock has always been one of my favorite characters, mostly because I just love dinosaurs. And the only thing that I really think that's a negative on this guy is probably his size. That was a problem that I had when it first came out. It's a much better, more manageable problem now that the figures are scaling down a little bit, because it keeps this guy nice and big and powerful. One other thing that I forgot to mention is on the inside here, he's got a little nozzle to kind of replicate the fire that he would breathe out of his mouth, which is really very cool. And then I don't want to say, one of my biggest nitpicks is the fact that now that we have Grimlock, I really want all the Dinobots in terms of masterpiece form. Sludge, Swoop, Snarl, Slag, all of them. I want every single Dinobot. Whether or not we will, that's a whole nother story, but I absolutely love this guy. His price, though, can be very prohibitive. When he first came out at Toys R Us, I think he was like $80. As I said in the beginning, I traded my 2013 BotCon set, which I think was like $340. eBay prices really can keep this guy at about $250 to $300, so I feel like I got a pretty good deal because I traded a set that I didn't really want for something I really did want. So I'm happy with it. But if you missed out, it's really going to be tough to get your hands on one. Now, there are rumors, and it's pretty much confirmed by this point in time, that Takara is going to be reissuing this. The problem is we don't know a lot about it. Most people are looking at box images, and as the recording of this video, the only thing that we're seeing is this, his sword, his gun, and also his crown. So a lot of people are being led to believe that we're going to be basically getting the Hasbro version in a Takara packaging, which will be perfectly fine for a lot of people, except that price is going for about $250 as well. So if you missed out on this guy at any point in time, they will be reissuing him, but you're going to be paying roughly the same price as this. Now, what that new reissue might do is drive the price of this guy actually down, making this a little bit more manageable of a figure to pick up. Because sellers on eBay aren't going to try selling theirs for $250 when people can go and buy directly from Big Bad Toy Store or things of that nature for $250. So I really do believe that that release will help make the secondary market on the original Grimlock come down. And that's probably going to be your best time to pick this guy up. And if you can, I absolutely would. No Masterpiece Transformer display is complete without having the king of the Dinobots, Grimlock, in your collection. But that's about it, guys. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Keep in touch with me. Find out recent purchases as well as all upcoming video reviews all at facebook.com/teambotimus and follow me over on Twitter at twitter.com/Optibotimus. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.